So you really don't know who you can trust, because some scientists are doing work for good, others come along and change it, and of course there are scientists, and I have come across them, who from the very outset will follow any government order, any government request, and they will experiment on anybody, provided they are well paid and they get their just rewards. So, you have pure good and pure evil, like a seesaw motion here, working together.
Yeah. One of the things also that you had mentioned was the military-industrial complex protecting their profits in these corporations, and that's what's behind a lot of this. And as I mentioned, GE played a big role in what happened to me up in New Hampshire. And so I truly believe they're in tight with the government and they're working together on these issues.
Oh, you're absolutely correct, sir, and I've referenced it in a paper which was published, it came out in September, and I'm not advertising here. My paper is absolutely free of charge, and I wrote it free of charge. And in part, it is in a science magazine, an October-November edition of a worldwide science magazine. And if you wish, I can give you the website of this paper.
Oh, absolutely.
But in this paper, I have actually referenced from your government documents where your government is saying, putting it very simply, your government is saying that Western governments should lie to the human population about what is going on because they need to protect industrial profit. And this is the government and the industry protecting each other. It's actually in writing what you say, where the government say, your government actually say, that we must lie to the people to protect industrial profit. And I've written that in my paper and referenced it.
Barrie, if you'd like, go ahead and give us the website for that.
I will certainly do that, sir. I'll give you the title of the paper and the website. And I will say, in this paper, I've also listed, I think it's on page 7 or 10, I've listed the most popular groups of people to be targeted as well. But the title of the paper is Wi-Fi, a thalidomide in the making. That's Thalomide, thalidomide like the drug. Wi-Fi, a thalidomide in the making, and it's on an Irish radio station. I was doing a program similar to this, and so many people emailed in to say, where can we get this paper? They've put it on their website. It's www. Then a capital O for orange, Y for Yankee, M for mother, R for radio, and then in little letters, ADIO.com. So it reads oymradio.com. And if you go there and you look for my paper, Wi-Fi, a thalidomide, I've listed the experiments that are the titles of the experiments which governments have used on civilians, and I've listed also the people.
You listed the types of people.
Yes, sir.
In what regards? Like, would I be in one of those categories, or?
Can I read it to you, sir?
Absolutely.
I'll read you the list. I've got the paper sitting in front of me here.
Okay.
It's on page 7, and I'll just go to page 7, and I've taken these from actual documents. These are the lists of people currently being targeted or have been targeted. Here we go, and I'll just run through there are 17 categories of people, sir, and I'll just read through them. It is, right, here we go, students, servicemen and servicewomen, psychiatric patients, the poor, children over the age of 4, pregnant women, Muslims, Catholics, prisoners, the handicapped, deaf, blind, homosexuals, single women, elderly, school children, marginal groups, and dissidents. So if you feel you're one of those, sir, then that's it.
I would say we would be now when you said considered a political dissident with our present king that we have in our country, and our country is well aware of the government lying and covering up, and there's been more scandals and what have you. So I would say probably a dissidence would be my or whistleblower, because I had my house bugged and GE was involved, and I think this is a way that they're silencing me because of that.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely correct, sir. I mean, the government do work. I mean, they are in bed with the industry. And when we're looking at these categories of people, I mean, we can be looking at hundreds of thousands. It isn't a very small group here or there. It can involve hundreds or thousands of people.
Now, you also mentioned on Lee Elsey's show this morning briefly about the D.C. shooter, and we covered that here, and I pointed out to our viewers that this man was asking for help. He was being hit with microwave weapons. He was moving from hotels to motels to the Navy base. He was doing everything he could, and he just finally lost it and did what he did. Are you there?
You're absolutely right, sir. I mean, synthetic telepathy is not new. In other words, for those who are not familiar with the term, and again, it was something which was designed for good. It was designed so deaf people could hear, or you could send a message to a deaf person, and they would physically hear like your listeners are hearing you, although there would be no sound. You can send microwaves, pulsed microwaves, into the ear, and it will cause an electrical stimulation, almost like sound waves when they're converted to electricity in the cochlea. And you can physically hear sounds, and you can hear these sounds, and when it comes to brainwashing people, the first thing they do, as if with this serviceman, the first thing you can do is, it is very, very easy to actually break a person down without using pain or anything. You can break a person down to the point where they are so stressed, they are hallucinating, they are so scared that they will hallucinate and just shake with fear. And that can actually be done within 30 hours with an ordinary human being, just less than 2 days. If then you start introducing synthetic telepathy, which is a comforting voice, and it can be the voice of a god, it can be the voice of a dead relative, it can be the voice of somebody whom you trust. It is very easy then to manipulate, and psychiatrists and psychologists have been doing this for years. You can manipulate their thoughts and behavior to the point where this voice will actually tell them to go and do something. And it's going to shock some of your listeners, sir, but this is done in quite a few high street stores these days. And again, this was devised to prevent shoplifters being shoplifters. synthetic telepathy from microwaves. If somebody was seen stealing something, they could receive a voice saying, "Put that back." And theoretically, this was a good thing. It saved the shop losing its goods, and it prevented the person being caught and go to prison. But it didn't take long for somebody to work out that if you say, "Put that back," you can also say to other people, "Go ahead and buy this, you know you really want it." And from the last time I looked into this, not only were big department stores now using these to encourage people to buy, and of course they just get the feeling in their head, this is really what I want, but fast food chains are also using these to convince people that they are really hungry and want to eat a bit more. So there is a commercial basis behind this, and theoretically it's not against the law, because theoretically the governments insist that microwaves cannot cause harm.
Now, I've had several people who obviously have done the research. They've seen that these weapons exist, there's no doubt in their mind, but the common question always is, now what? What can we do? How do we stop it? What can we do? What can I do? How can I stop these evil people from tormenting me, torturing me every day, every night? What's left to do, Barrie?
To be perfectly honest, sir, if there are so many different organizations involved here with so much specialist equipment, unless the people stalking you are amateurs, there is very, very little you can do. There was a time you could have yourself electromagnetically x-rayed, and you could find a chip in your body that they would be using to track you down. But these days, the chips can be smaller than any machine could possibly pick up, that they are sort of nanotubes. And you just can't pick them up. So if you want to detect something inside you, it is almost impossible once it's in. And if it is inside you, it is impossible not to be detected, because they can do it by satellite and drones and all sorts of things. So if you are being targeted, and this is of course is their aim, it is that for current knowledge, there is no escape from this, unless of course you wear a suit of armor where nothing can get in or out. You wear so much protective clothing, and you move around and live in like a beehive. The bad news is they are so skilled at this, and they have made it that nobody can escape. And this is, as I say often, this is now the new Cold War, because if one country can indoctrinate with some form of electromagnetic impulses another country's citizens, basically you have a whole country in slave labor. And this is where people are now headed. They are looking for controlling people. Once you control the mind and the muscles, you can control the population. And this is now the new Cold War.
You know, Barrie, from day one, I've warned our viewers to protect your mind, and I truly mean that, and for the future. But there's always a part of the population that wants to keep their heads in the sand about everything, and they don't want to know anything. They don't want to hear it. They poo-poo the whole thing. And it's really sad that those people keep their heads in the sand, I guess. Right, Wally?